My name is Matthew Lawson. I am the Assistant Planning Director for the County of Mercer, New Jersey, and still acting as Principal Transportation Planner for the county. And this project is under my management as the sponsor, and I will introduce in a moment the project manager for our consultant. So this project is to look at a way to better manage traffic mobility, essentially, in the Trenton urbanized area. The urbanized area, when we started this project, had a smaller footprint than it does today, as defined by the U.S. Census. And so under those starting conditions, that's our study area. But this project came about really for me in relation to two experiences. And one was simply driving to work through the city of Trenton and driving around the Mercer County network. That's my job as a transportation planner. And frustrations sitting at traffic lights in the city without the ability to advance, seeing no cross traffic, and wondering why the signal was there. The other experience was working with the city of Trenton on some of the projects that we cooperated on, looking at transit signal priority. How do we get buses more effectively through their primary bus routes? How do we think about how to coordinate between the two agencies when the city of Trenton may own a traffic signal that is on a highway corridor owned and otherwise operated by the County of Mercer? And so working with the city of Trenton, I became aware of their management practices, the staff that they have to go out and keep the signals in order, keep the signals operating, and the frustrations that they face. And so the need for the project really came about through those experiences and knowing that other people driving through the city had the same experiences. How do we make the city of Trenton better able to manage its signals? And how do we help the city of Trenton and the County of Mercer? We've got traffic signals. Hamilton Township, Lawrence Township, they have traffic signals too. The New Jersey Department of Transportation has primary corridors that run through the city of Trenton. And they have signals in the city and throughout the county, throughout the urbanized area. So one of the questions is, how do we work better together? How do we work better to create coordinated corridors where traffic moves consistently and the signal progression works so that people aren't sitting idling, so that we can reduce congestion within this larger region, and to help the city of Trenton improve their management of the traffic control devices. So the opportunity for this arose because in the Trenton urbanized area, we get a federal formula dollars to advance projects of all sorts. This is the Surface Transportation Block Grant Program. And from time to time, there are projects that slip. There are projects that we can't advance as they are programmed to on schedule. And funds became available for the County of Mercer to work with the city of Trenton, to work with Hamilton and Lawrence, and work on our own signals, and with NJDOT, to be able to develop a better coordinated traffic management plan for this area of the county. Now, the other thing that I've been struggling with as a transportation planner, I'm a futurist. I'm thinking about what's coming down the road. And one of the things that I've been really working on is trying to understand the impact of autonomous vehicles. How does a robotic car read a traffic signal? How do they, if we develop vehicle to infrastructure communication, which is one of the things that many jurisdictions are beginning to explore, if those vehicles are communicating with our traffic signals and saying, "Here I come, can you please turn green?" Or the signal communicating back to the vehicle, the signal will turn red in 7 seconds. And so if you slow down to 7 miles an hour now, you'll hit the signal at green. So if we can develop a coordinated signal system like this with advanced technology, that's my dream. That's one of the hopes that I have for this project, that we'll be able to develop standards that go across all of our jurisdictions so that we can have a coordinated and consistently deployed signal system across the 5 jurisdictions that are responsible for maintaining those signals in this part of the county. So the that's the background of the project. We've got funding for it. We went through the federal process to hire an engineering consulting firm based strictly on the qualifications of the firm. Funding was not in the question when in the project selection. And the vendor that we selected is Traffic Planning and Design, which is a national firm. They've got offices across the country, but they have some great engineers in this area, and the skills and abilities of those engineers and the firm in general were decisive to the selection of TPD as the vendor helping us with this study. So I want to introduce Joe Platt. I am the project manager on behalf of the county, Matthew Lawson, and our contact information will be at the end of this presentation, so you can reach out to us with questions. And we will show some other opportunities for interaction with the project as it advances. But I want to turn the floor over to Joe Platt from TPD, Traffic Planning and Design, to carry us forward through this presentation, and may come back at the end to say goodbye and thanks for listening. Joe?
Thank you, Matt. Again, my name is Joe Platt with Traffic Planning Design. I'm a vice president here at TPD and the project manager to assist the county in this endeavor. Today we'll go through the project background. Matt gave you a little flavor of that, but we'll continue to go through that. We'll review the location. We'll also review kind of the local concept development process and what all goes into it. It's a very detailed process. We want to walk through each of those steps with you. Go over the purpose and need and why that's important to a project. Review the existing conditions of what we're seeing as we start the data collection process here. Give a brief overview of the schedule and the outreach that we plan to do. And as Matt mentioned, our contacts at the end if there's any questions or follow-up. Again, a project sponsor, Mercer County, with support through DVRPC and NJDOT. TPD being the prime consultant, and we have Colliers Engineering and Design and Advanced Engineering Associates assisting us through this project. As Matt said, there are many traffic signals in the city of Trenton. There's 84 signalized intersections owned and maintained by the city of Trenton. The condition of those signals varies. That some of them are very old, some of them are relatively new. Throughout this process, we want to go through and look at each of those intersections, visit each of them, document their conditions, document their operations, and really get a good handle of what's going on there. As we said, this is the 2010 Trenton urbanized area. It's a very large area by expanse with multiple municipalities, in addition to the county, in addition to the city of Trenton. Each of these dots represents one of the signalized intersections within that urbanized area. So the local concept development process. It involves drafting a well-defined and well-justified purpose and need statement, focusing on the primary transportation needs to be addressed. Some of those key constructs that go into the local concept development study, the data collection and analysis, which we're in the middle of right now, stakeholder coordination, making sure we talk to those that interact with these systems and we understand all points of view as it relates to the signalized intersections, that relates to the key corridors that we're talking about here. We want to make sure that everybody has a chance to explain their view and how they see things, and have a full encompassing view of each of these locations. As we go through that data collection, we want to look at developing feasible concepts, alternatives of what can be done. If it's not a traffic signal, could it be something else? Is there a better traffic signal design that could be done? We want to look at what are the feasible alternatives at these locations. As part of this project, we're coordinating with our stakeholders to identify that data to be collected. Identify gaps in where the data is now, or if there's additional data that needs to be obtained, and ultimately develop a preliminary preferred alternative as we walk through the process. The local concept development process is a very structured process. As you see here is a very brief flow chart of where we're at. And right now we're really in the data collection phase, and we're starting to move into that data analysis phase. So we've done some data collection out there. We've started to inventory intersections. We've started to look at it. We've started to pull traffic data. And we want to start mixing that with our stakeholder feedback and mixing it with other data that may be there by other agencies and other stakeholders, and start that data analysis process. And through that data analysis process, we'll start to look at alternatives and what could be if it's not a traffic signal. Could it be something else? Is a traffic signal? Is there improvements to traffic signals? As Matt mentioned, one of the things we want to look at is interoperability across municipal boundaries and across jurisdictions. We want to make sure that a signal owned and maintained by Mercer County and NJDOT and the city of Trenton and Hamilton all operate substantially similar, where they can then communicate to each other and create a consistent feel through that corridor for those motorists, so that you can have a continuous flow through the corridors. We can have a reasonable expectation of how corridors operate, and that the equipment across all of them is interoperable, so that everybody has the access to the data regardless of the jurisdiction. So those are things we're looking at. And once we have that analysis done, we'll start looking at what are those portfolio alternatives and what do they look like. And then we'll get into the reporting process and the various approvals that come through it towards the end of this project. As we mentioned, the purpose and need is very important to projects and local concept development studies. It serves as the basis for creating and assessing the possible alternatives. So these are really the guiding principles that we look at when we're assessing each of these alternatives. We want to make sure that the project purpose defines the transportation problem we're seeking to solve. It'll be a very well-defined purpose that is encompassing, that will, again, guide us in what alternatives meet those objectives. The need, why are we doing this? The need provides the justifications needed to support the project purpose. With each alternative that we look at, we want to make sure that does it meet the purpose, and does it meet the need? And those are the alternatives that then start getting evaluated further. As part of those, then you have the goals and objectives. The goals and objectives are those solutions that we're trying to do. What are we trying to solve? What are the measurable goals and objectives to be included in this project to address the solution? So where are we at now? Traffic signals within the Trenton urbanized area are controlled by five different agencies, each with their own standards, each with their own operational parameters, their own budgets. So there's a lot of mixing throughout the corridors, throughout the city. And a lot of these signals are outdated. Many are past their useful life. They lack interconnection and centralized control and coordination. Many of the timing plans are unsynchronized, being that they've been there for some time, and they haven't been updated. You don't get that synchronized, coordinated flow through corridors. A lot of the signals lack proper accommodations for non-motorized vehicles, whether they be handmans or push buttons, or other things for those vulnerable road users, for those cyclists. A lot of those signals don't have that infrastructure in place now. When these signals were put in, the world was a very different place. Over time, population and commuter patterns have shifted. But overall, the operations and the signal timings and the signal operations have largely gone unchanged and matched those shifts in policy. And one of the other things is a lack of record keeping. What we find is that as signals were being maintained, that the record keeping was just a piece of paper that was in a file. So as part of this project, what we're doing is trying to centralize a lot of that record keeping, trying to give a summary and an inventory of what's out there, the general condition of it, and start a new basis for that record keeping moving forward into a more modern digital world. For our project schedule, we held a local officials briefing back in November, where we were able to meet with our local officials and explain this project. Today, we're going over the Public Information Center. We did have a stakeholders meeting to introduce the project and start to have a discussion on the data collection and kind of the purpose of what we're trying to accomplish here, and start soliciting feedback. And we're also running an online engagement survey through the end of February, which we'll get to in a second, trying to solicit additional feedback from the users of this network, whether they be residents, commuters, businesses, anybody that interacts with these networks. We really want to hear from and understand how they interact with the corridors and the intersections, and their thoughts on it. As we're moving forward, we're going to start getting into some of those alternatives once we finish the data collection. We anticipate another stakeholder meeting in the winter of this year. And by springtime, we want to be in a position to have another round of public meetings through the local official briefing and a public information center to go over the data collection that was found and the alternatives that start coming through as part of this project. As I mentioned, we have an online community survey, which is right here. We've identified it as from stop to go to help make traffic flow. There's a link in this presentation. There's a link also available on the county website. But what we want to know is understand how the user experiences traveling through the Trenton urbanized area. And we want to understand, the different modes of travel, whether they be through vehicle, whether they be pedestrians, cyclists, or other. We want to understand how you interact and where improvements may be needed at these intersections. We want to understand the concerns that are out there, and we want to understand if there's opportunities for improvement. We want to really know where those are at. Like I said, the survey is available online. There's a QR code here on the presentation. There are links on the county website, and there are flyers that will be made available and circulated throughout the region. That survey will run through the 28th of February. As Matt mentioned, our contact information is here, both for Matt and myself. The Mercer County Project Resource page, there is a link to it as well in this presentation that contains a lot of the information that you see in this presentation, and it has up-to-date information as this project continues through the local concept development process. Matt?
Yeah, I want to thank Joe for making this presentation. I want to thank Joe for working on this project. The work that TPD has done is really impressive so far, and I'm excited about the possibilities for where we could go with this. A lot of that is yet to be defined. We're still understanding what the issues are in the network, and frankly, your feedback, you're hitting that survey to report traffic signals that you're frustrated with. That would be really helpful for us and helpful for us to identify where we go, how we advance this project to improve mobility for all users of our transportation network. So thank you very much for attending. Again, you can go to the project website on the County Planning Department webpage. You can respond to the survey, and we will have a media blast going out from the county, hopefully to accompany this Public Information Center presentation. But I thank you for attending, and reach out, please, if you have any questions or concerns.